Billiken fans, welcome back. It is Zach Miller and Peter Hale. It's the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, of course, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. It's still crazy that people are able to are willing to watch us and listen to us and keep this thing going. And don't forget to comment if you have something to say about what we have to say. We're not perfect. We have bad takes. We're sure of it. If we have good takes too, hey, if you want to compliment us on our takes too, that's always appreciated. But it is season 5 of the Midtown Madness Podcast, and we are brought to you by 2 Men in a Garden salsa. 2 Men in a Garden is my absolute favorite salsa. You know, I went into Deerberg's today, and every time I go in, because I don't necessarily want to get the medium non-cantina style. I'd rather, if I'm going to get non-cantina style, I'm going to go hot. So they don't necessarily carry the hot. And I was tempted for a split second to go with an old favorite of mine. I pushed that fleeting, intrusive thought aside, and I said, no, I'm brand loyal to 2 Men in a Garden. If they don't have what I want, I'm not getting anything. Because that's how much I love 2 Men in a Garden salsa and how much I'm truly a fan of what they're doing. It is a great addition to your pregame, postgame, or mid-game snacking. It is a must-have in your pantry at all times. It really is. 2 Men in a Garden, whether you like it mild, medium, or hot, no matter your taste, you can find a flavor that matches it at 2meninagarden.com. They have you covered. It's fresh, simple ingredients with a ton of flavor. Visit them online. Like I said, 2meninagarden.com. Shop your favorite flavors and learn more about their Kitchen Hub STL. Don't forget to follow them on social media at 2 Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter for their latest updates. Pete, I think it would be remiss without having a little banter about 2 things. One, how about them Blues? I know that people don't listen to us for Blues talk, so we're not, but this is some fun shit.
It's been great, Zach, and I gotta say, I don't watch a whole lot of regular season hockey. I'll watch some, and I love that it's on ESPN Plus, which I already have for Slew.
It's so good. I remember in college when this guy I knew had the NHL Center Ice package.
Yeah,
and we would walk because he was a Stars fan, and I'm I can't even imagine when I was deep into hockey in 09, and I can't even imagine what it would have been like had it been on ESPN Plus.
It's fantastic. So I've been lately, I've just been watching every game. It's been so fun. I'm loving it. It's bringing me back to my childhood when I used to watch the Blues on KPLR as much as they were on. Basically, I would watch them whenever they were on. So it's been great. Franchise record, 12 wins in a row. The last couple have been a little nervy, not quite as convincing, because for a while, the first 7 or 8, I mean, they were not even close. They were just burying teams.
To bring it back to Billiken athletics and Billiken hoops, I think there's a lot to be learned from the Blues production. The in-arena experience, from the minute you walk into the door, the minute you get some food, to the I think just the shopping experience. And of course, I know it's the NHL, it's very different. But again, you're in a pro sports town. You have to cater, you have to meet your audience where they're at. And I think that's what the pro sports experience. And I would really, I think if it's never been done, I think it's long overdue. I think SLU needs to, work with an organization like the Blues, and, whether it's, cross franchise, learning, I think getting together can only further help. But I do want to get your opinion, because the Cardinals had opening day, and of course the Billikens tweet out best of luck to the Cardinals on opening day. I had some thoughts on this. It always seems kind of, I don't know, pandering.
Okay, so
when they do this, when they tweet out best of luck to the Cardinals, best of luck to the Blues, to the Battlehawks, none of these franchises are doing that for us.
How would it make you feel if they did, though? If the Blues gave the Billikens. Like, say
Oh,
the
I'd be
Billikens made the tournament,
I'd be so happy about it.
and
I think they have.
the Blues or the
I think
Cardinals
they
were
did.
like,
I genuinely think they did when we made the tournament, right?
yeah.
I could be wrong, but I don't know. Like, I think they should acknowledge it. But again, I'm a Billiken fan. I'm biased, but like, I just do feel like SLU doesn't get any reciprocation. Even the Blues don't even have a SLU night, right? They work so much with Maryville and Missouri Baptist and these places with more sports business, programs, and they don't work with SLU. The Cardinals, obviously, they have the Kyle Cassidy connection in the front office, and they do SLU night. But I just think it's pandering, and I get it's the same as a birthday announcement for me. I think there's a fine line between the right amount of birthday announcements and too many.
So I'm going to disagree. Now, the birthday thing, I'm neutral on, whatever. But I will disagree with you on the other point, just because I kind of like to see my teams shouting one another out, and it's, I guess it's easier when all the teams I root for are from the same city, but like, I just kind of like it. And the fact that we do SLU night at the ballpark. So we have the Billiken in Busch Stadium, and we have Josh Shirts with, a Cardinals jersey and a Billikens, colored hat and everything. So like, I like that there's enough cross pollination there to kind of at least justify it. Even if we are little brother and they don't think about us like we think about them. They don't all the time. I still kind of like it. It still warms my heart a little bit, I guess, as a someone who is exiled from St. Louis. What's the word I'm looking for? Not exiled.
You're an expat.
I am an expat. So it warms my expat heart, I gotta say.
I love that term, by the way. Expat is so fun.
I do.
It kind of makes me want to be an expat at some point. Like, it just sounds like a cool, like, I'll be like, yeah, I'm an American expat. No big deal. It feels like stolen valor when you say it.
Yeah, but
it's cool.
It's cool. You're unique.
Feel kind of cool. How about Kellen Thames? He posts a picture from his on Thursday. I don't want to say hospital bed.
Yeah, it kind of looks like he was in the hall or something.
It reminded me
in a hospital room.
It reminded me of a place where you give plasma.
Yeah, like just a clinic. Like,
it's just a clinic, and because I don't want to say hospital bed, because I think a lot of people kind of, and not intentionally or like with any sort of intention, but like, when he said road to recovery, I think people threw the word surgery out there. Mm-hmm. And I don't necessarily like, I can't look at anything that happened. Again, I'm not a medical professional. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but like, nothing about his whatever medical situation, it didn't scream surgery to me. Right.
And I think probably people's minds go there because we're used to that,
season-ending injuries require surgery.
The athlete, Instagramming out a picture from their hospital bed, sure. and it's always like the post-surgery, like surgery went well, let's get back at it, it's that kind of thing. So it did kind of have that vibe a little bit, but like he clearly wasn't just in his own hospital room or something like that. It was a little bit different, but either way, I'm gonna be optimistic on his situation and assume that we have him, healthy and ready to go next season.
I you know what, I honestly will sit, and I may not die on that hill, but I'll take a few stab wounds on that hill.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that he's back 100%.
I'm going to choose optimism with you, Zach. I have to. I do too.
And I know that will surprise a lot of people for me to be optimistic.
Yeah, I think so. I was ready for you to contradict me there.
Oh no, I genuinely, like, again, I don't. Again, we saw Fred Thatch kind of come back from a similar thing. Again, like, I don't know. It's weird. It's hard to say why. but it just doesn't. I mean, it just feels like we're not recruiting, like he's not coming back.
Right.
But again, we got a lot of time left too, because right now we are in a dead period, and I say dead period with very sarcastic quotation marks around them, because really, I mean, this is just a like, hey, we want to, this is coaches are on vacation.
Right.
This is everybody not in the Final Four is on vacation right now.
Yeah.
At the Final Four.
The only thing that makes it a dead period is you can't visit recruits and they can't visit you. Like, that's it. You can't. There's no in-person meet, as if everyone in the world in this industry is not on their phone all the time. Because you could still do that.
These damn millennials are ruining everything.
So you just can't go have face-to-face contact, which, yes, I'm not sure really matters that much. But I know we want to have them in for campus visits, and we'll get to some of those in a minute. But yeah, you just that's the only thing that makes it a dead period. So anyone who's like, wait, it's a dead period, why am I still seeing commitments? Why am I still seeing offers? Why am I still seeing visit announcements and things like that? They can talk all they want. It's just no face-to-face.
Yeah, you mentioned that SLU was active, and they wanted to be active to get guys ready to visit and commit early, and I think they succeeded. At least, I mean, obviously they are excited about these, and I think there's a lot to be excited about in here. I think we need to break it down, though.
Yeah, absolutely, Zach. I think they were really aggressive. They had a goal of getting as many visits as they could before the dead period started, and commitments. They wanted early commitments too, and I would have bet pretty handsomely. Not that I gamble, but I would have if I were forced to pick a side, that they would not have had 4 commitments before. That this period started on April 3rd. I mean, that's really, really impressive.
It's interesting. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say in about the span of a week, to have 4 incoming commitments, to hit on that many targets, to have even more visits than that, really, really incredible job.
Yeah, it's wild, because I think the only one we kind of knew about was Paul Otieno, who we'll talk about, but I think I wonder how much of it is a reaction to kind of bemoaning how little time they had last portal season.
Yeah. Right. You had them going deep into the NIT. You had the coaching change. It was a way different cycle for SLU, right? And now coaching staff's in place, and they get all of these visits, and then they start knocking them down. We knew about Otieno. You and I were comfortable enough with that one to go ahead and announce it last week, even though it wasn't official. He made it official on Monday, March 31st. He's, just as a quick reminder, 6'8", 225. I think he's more than that, honestly. Grad transfer from Quinnipiac. He's got 1 year of eligibility. We talked about him last week. We gave all the reasons why we think he's a great fit. None of that has changed. I think this is an awesome way to open up the incoming transfer class, Zach. This was to have a piece like this be your first one. Man, oh man, I love it.
Yeah, this one, this commitment is the one that I really can wrap my head around, from skill set to his stats. It's the one this week that I can completely see how he'll transform this Billiken team.
Yeah, I think his skills are really the things that we were missing in the front court this last year. And you and I swear I said it out loud. I don't know if I did, but when we were watching that Quinnipiac game, sitting there together, I was kind of like, oh my God, would I like to see him?
Yeah, you just, and I think, and for a minute, we add Paul Otieno, and it's like, are we just gonna grab guys that beat the shit out of us last year?
I know. There were a lot of people like, hey, I've got some other names of guys who went off against us. If we're just shopping the guys who went off against SLU,
because those Arkansas State guys went into the portal, and they were kind of tied to us.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So Zach, we were not done there though.
No.
The next day, SLU got another commitment.
Yeah, Quentin Jones. A lot of very nondescript last names on this team.
I know.
Quentin Jones. He's a 6'5" shooting guard out of Wait, how does this say? Northern Illinois by way of Cal Poly. Is that how you say it, or is it Cal Poly by way of Northern Illinois?
It would be Northern Illinois by way of Cal Poly.
Yes.
Yeah, so he announced his commitment on Tuesday. Originally from Chicago, he went out to Cal Poly his freshman year before coming closer to home as a sophomore. He will have 2 years left. He averaged 16.6 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per game for a terrible team. Northern Illinois was really, really bad this year, bottom of the MAC. His slash line, 455, 355, 766, not bad. 3-point percentage was actually over 40% as a freshman, but his percentages from two and the free throw line were not as good. He does bring a good combination of size, athleticism. He's got good length for the position, solid defender. He averages 1.3 steals a game and almost a block per game, which is unusual for a guard. There's a great highlight video on College Basketball Scouting's YouTube channel. Some of the stats from that wouldn't be on your normal kind of ESPN profile. 57% field goal percentage on the catch and shoot, which puts him in the 81st percentile overall. You got to love that in our offense, where there's going to be a lot of shooting opportunities off the catch. 58% field goal percentage at the rim, 41% from three when it's above the break, which is kind of, basically near the top of the key. He really likes to shoot from that angle. He's not a great shooter off the dribble, but he's very effective scoring off ball screens, scoring and creating. He's really, really good off ball screens. And he's an above average scorer when he can spot up. So I think the ways that he scores are really going to fit well in our offense. He's been on two bad teams, right? He's been a good scorer on bad teams. And I do wonder, sometimes you look at those guys and when they move up a level, a lot of that kind of gets lost. But I think here you're looking at a guy who the way he scores is really what you have to look at. And that's what's going to translate into our system. Zach Bovair has a great quote. I think he says, stats indict, but the tape convicts, right? So they look at the stats. If the glove
doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Exactly. Yeah, that was him too.
Bovair has he's got some great one-liners.
He really does. So I think that's what's key here, Zach, is they had the numbers, they had the stats, the kind of synergy stuff that said, hey, we need to take a look at this guy. And then I think once they all got an eye on him, they really, really liked what they saw in terms of fit for SLU.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when it comes to, like you said, the guys that are on bad teams that are scoring, because, you mentioned the level, but I mean, the change in role, right? I mean, does he still get the same opportunities, the same minutes per game, the same looks, the same, plays run for him? It all adds up into an equation. That being said, like you said, I like the size. I like, the slash line. It's he just seems like another guy that can, the blocks per game I love. Obviously we had really bad rim protection, so that's huge. Just like Otieno bringing his offensive rebounding to the table. You can see exactly where the things he does well fit in with things that we did not do well last season.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't ignore 17 points a game as a sophomore, even if it is at a program that is struggling, And
it doesn't. 17 points a game is 17 points a game.
Yeah, and the thing
on that slash line too.
That's what I was just going to get to, is the slash line is good. People saw 35.5% from three and thought, well, it's all right. But SLU as a team this past year shot 35.2%. So he's above that. He's above where the team was overall last year. And that's not in a system like ours that is going to give him hopefully more opportunities off the catch, get him more open more often, get him a lot more action off ball screens, the kind of things that he's good at. And so Is he going to score 17 points a game as a junior? Probably not. But if we can bump that efficiency up a little bit more, surround him with more guys that score, that's the idea,
Yeah.
right? Like all of these guys to play well together and score more efficiently. And I think he'll slot nicely into that if he's if he's willing to accept the fact that he's not option one all the time.
Yeah, let's talk about the third player on this list, and that's Trey Green. He's a diminutive 6 feet tall, 168. I love the word diminutive. I, at one point in my life, was diminutive for my age. So I appreciate Mr. Green here. He's out of Xavier. You've seen this guy live, Pete?
Yeah, live, not as much as I would like because generally I'm the one at home with the kids while my wife goes to the game. So
unbelievable.
Just a couple times. So the interesting thing,
really challenging social norms out there, Pete. Yeah.
I'm just what can I say? I'm just a good dad.
Yeah, Mr. Mom over there.
He played 33 games as a freshman, but just 9 as a sophomore before taking a quote unquote medical leave for the rest of the season. Look, every Xavier fan I know questions whether that was legit, what that was all about, because playing more games than that would have prevented his ability to get a medical red shirt. So that I really think this was his sophomore year not going the way he wanted, and he just kind of shut it down.
Is this a Larry Hughes situation?
Maybe. I mean, look, he didn't leave school or anything like that. He's still finishing up, school there and everything. It just, I think I've read in a couple places that it was a mental health thing, and that it really was, for whatever reason, he didn't kind of fit in with Miller. Miller kind of recruited over him is more or less what happened. I can't imagine there's a long-term injury here to be concerned about.
Well, I'll say this. It is nice to see that we're not the only program that allegedly uses injuries to cover for other issues.
I mean, yeah, I guess it could be a little similar to that Bruce situation, but no.
When am I going to tell that story? What we were told happened.
Yeah, I know.
That's an insane story.
I know.
We'll get to it
someday.
Obviously we could talk about it being a legitimate injury, whether that would give you pause. I don't think anybody truly believes it was a lingering legitimate injury. And I know that I guess we got to talk about mental health, because if it was like a mental health, like, does any of it give you pause that for any reason? I mean, you look at it, it could be not built for this shititis, we don't know. Right. And I mean that in a way of like, he kind of quit on his team. Right.
Yeah. So I think that is, if you're going to look for anything to kind of point at and say, like, this is what I'm concerned about, this is what I don't like, this is even if you wanted to call it a character problem or something like that.
Sure.
But what I'll say is he had every reason, if he wanted to transfer after his freshman year. But instead, he stayed and kind of gave it a shot, right? I mean, he had a bunch of other guys basically come in, recruit, like Miller recruited over him. Miller brought in Marcus Foster. He brought in Roddy Anderson, Davian McKnight, Dante Maddox. He brought in, who else? I think that's it. But between those guys, you had double-digit scorers from like 4 different schools come in. They were all seniors, our grad students. They were all they were basically all of the perimeter scorers that he thought he was going to be his sophomore year. And he still stayed around and gave it a shot and thought, like, I'm going to play my way into this, and just wasn't able to. So part of me is like, look, the kid still wanted to make it work. Like he tried. I don't love any of it, but it's not very common, right? Like in the older form of basketball, as we knew it, college basketball, you wouldn't have seen a situation where a coach brought in 4 seniors from other schools who previously all scored double digits, looking to shore up perimeter scoring over you. So I think that's kind of worth noting. The other thing is, SLU is not Louisville. We don't have mid seven figures to spend on one or two guards, right? It's crazy the amount being spent on players who don't have at least kind of one, if you want to call it a red flag or issue like that. We're going to have to find guys they've got at least a question mark or something to prove or something that you might wonder about to get a little bit of value. And the important thing here is that his potential and his fit, I think, are really what matter.
Xavier fans had one knock on him, and that was what?
He's not much of a defender. That's kind of the issue, right? So he averaged about 5 points in his shortened sophomore season after scoring 5.6 points as a freshman. He was 37.5 from three, which was actually up from 32.2 his first year. It's really the defense that they were concerned about. And some people questioned whether he had enough size to compete in the Big East. Look, he's listed at 6 feet, but so was Isaiah Swope, right? And I think if you're going to look for a player to compare him to, that's probably the best one. He's not a pure point guard. He's probably going to be a little more comfortable as a primary ball handler / playmaker than Swope was, but I still think that's not his role. He's an undersized shooting guard is what he is. And I think if you give him perimeter opportunities to score, this guy, I mean, like right now, I kind of have him penciled in as a starter for SLU. I think he's that good. Our friend Jack Godar has done this a lot lately, but go back and look at some of his AAU clips from when he was with Mocan, and that was a really good. I think that was a team that won the EYBL his year, and he was a big part of why they did. I mean, the kid can really, really score. He's an electric offensive player when he's in the right system.
Pete, we talked about defense as kind of a red flag or something to worry about, but a lot of people talked about Gibson Jimerson throughout his career, how not great of a defender he was. And, within Josh Hurt's defense, I saw a lot better defense out of Gibson Jimerson than I had seen in the previous 5 years here.
Yeah, and there's a few points I want to make on that. Is number one, yes, we saw Jimerson evolve as a defender, and Green, if it works out, could be here for 3 seasons because you get a medical red shirt plus 2 more seasons, right? So if we're focused on retention, if he's a fit and everything, you could see him develop into that type of defender over time if he's not right away. Number two, I think the overall defense this year has potential to be very, very good. We've already gone over Jones and Otieno, 2 very good defensive players. And we know what we've got in Anya, McCautry, and some of the other guys who are already on the team who can defend. I think we are building a roster that's a little more that's going to be a bigger, more physical, more athletic. They're going to create more steals. They're going to block more shots. Whether they will, coax as low a field goal percentage out of opposing teams as last year's team did, I don't know, but I think there's the potential to be a very good defensive team here. And that can make up for maybe one guy who's got a bit of a shortcoming or who maybe has a tough matchup that day or who has a little ways to go on defense. So I want people to kind of keep that in mind if they are worried about defense. And look, overall, the guy was a 4-star, top 75 recruit out of high school, very good AAU player, never caught on with his current coach, decent freshman year, and then basically got recruited over out of the portal. So think of him as a shooter with high level potential. He could be really another Swope type, and the ceiling here is very, very high, very high.
Let's see. We've got Dion Brown, last but not least. He's a 6'3" guard, 180 pounds, out of Boston College by way of University of Maryland, Baltimore County. He averaged 19 points a game at UMBC. And like I said, 19 points is 19 points wherever you get it done. And UMBC as a program is no slouch.
No, famously one of the 16 seeds to win in the first round. And that was with 7.6 rebounds per game as a guard, 2.6 assists, 1.3 steals. At Boston College, he was a starter. He was the team's fourth leading scorer, 7.5 points a game, right? Like big step down, but also a big step up in terms of competition. Just under 4 rebounds a game, an assist and a half per game, zero point 0.6 steals per game. He shot right at 35% from three in all 3 seasons, regardless of volume. So it kind of seems like that's where he's at. He's a good free throw shooter, about 76% for his career, well above 50% from two in both UMBC seasons, but that did drop to just over 48% in his Boston College season. So you see that sort of drop in scoring, and it's right now like, okay, what's the right level for this guy? What's the right level? There's a big difference between the ACC and the America East. No question about that.
By the way, speaking of green flags that I look for, he's a good offensive rebounder for a guard.
Yeah, he really is. He really is. His offensive rebounding numbers are unusually high, especially if you look back at his whole career and not just his last season at Boston College. But that's one thing that kind of stands out to me, and it also stood out in the video of him, is he seems to have a knack for getting his own misses and just kind of being in the right spot at the right time. He's not Jordan Goodwin.
Did you see my eyes? Were you staring into my beady eyes?
I know you've got Jordan Goodwin on the brain. After
that phrase. I mean, there's not a better phrase than right place, right time.
Yes.
To describe Jordan Goodwin.
Yeah, so I think he does kind of have a bit of a knack for that, and that's going to serve us well, too, because we weren't a great offensive rebounding team at all this season, and we're looking for ways to sort of narrow the gap in field goal attempts to give ourselves more chances. So I think he fits in well in that regard. Look, he's one of those guys, when you look at the chatter on him online, I think Boston College fans were split, but a little more negative than positive. It's not hard to find them complaining about him. It's hard to know how much of that was overall dissatisfaction with a team that won 12 games last season. I mean, think about how SLU fans felt about any given player in Ford's last season. Mm-hmm. A lot of people complained about a lot of players, but he just wasn't as effective there as he was at UMBC. So SLU next season is going to be better than BC this past season too. So it's a matter of not just whether the A10 is the right level, kind of between the ACC and the AEC, but whether this system is right for him and what his role is within it. I don't exactly look at him as a starter. I think he's probably going to be like a sixth man type, maybe seventh, depending on how the rest of this goes. But a very good one. I mean, like he was a starter on an ACC team. They weren't good, but he was a starter on an ACC team, and he scored 19 points a game before that. There is something here. It's all going to come down to fit and level and that kind of stuff.
The best part of his college basketball scouting video is that like one play where he gets a nice dunk, it's off of a guy tearing his ACL, which is
that's insane.
That is so sad.
It is. It's rough. Did you see the video, by the way, of the guys at the Atlanta Hawks game doing the halftime competition or a timeout competition?
No.
Where they both go down and have to like make a layup, and then they're putting like checkers in the middle. First layup, the one guy takes at the other end, he slips and tears his knee, and he's just laying there on the ground in pain for the remainder of this promotion. And the other guy, you see him notice like that this has happened, but he still goes and finishes.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. No mercy. It's for year burritos from Chipotle. You have to.
That's exactly right. He's like, okay, whether or not I get my burritos it can't be impacted by what happened.
Yeah, that's not my problem.
That's in the past. I have to go get my burritos. It's wild.
No mercy
in his highlight video either. But yeah, he's an intriguing player. I right now it's like I don't think he's the guy we're building around, but man, oh man, could he be a good sixth or seventh player in this system? Yeah,
I look. I mean, we'll get into it, but that's 4 commitments so far.
Yeah. How would you rank these, Zach, in terms of who are you most excited about and on down the line?
I mean, obviously, I think Otieno is probably the leader into the clubhouse. As far as most exciting, probably the highest impact of the transfers. It's his entire game is filling a void.
Yeah.
So Paul Otieno is by far the one that I'm excited about the most. I think obviously I would throw, I think Trey Green. I think Quentin Jones, Trey Green, Deion Brown. I think in that order. I think exactly in the order that we had him. I mean, Quentin Jones, there's just something about, I don't know why. But I think Otieno's free throw percentage makes me the most excited.
Yeah. A big man who can shoot free throws.
Yes.
Yeah.
That means he can get to the hoop without fear.
That's right. Yes.
But I say all that, and look, I don't know what any of these guys are going to bring. Right at the end of the day, I'm finding it harder and harder to get excited about incoming players. I think some of it is obviously the portal. Like I kind of alluded to, guys committing to their 3rd and 4th teams. I'm jaded by the graphic industry that's being propped up by NIL.
For sure.
And Sham Charania fucking breaking news or whatever.
Breaking news from Shams. Yeah.
Yes. That's like
you're burying the lead, buddy.
Yeah, it's insane. He is more important. But I think, you get NIL rumors, all that stuff. But, there's a lot of it that's the last decade of Billiken basketball. And again, I don't want to turn it into like a Chris May thing, but it's very hard to see a program in this athletic department, this a basketball team that is going to go out and win an A10 championship because there hasn't been a coach hired. Again, you can attribute the A10 championships to Jim Cruz. You can, but that's not reality. I mean, it is reality, but it's not. It's hard to see it happen under this athletic department, and so I'm just going to kind of roll with it. If the coaching staff's happy, then I'm happy. You know what I mean?
I think having them in place for a year, and it is, as we record this, a year ago today that Josh Schertz was hired.
Cheers.
Happy anniversary. I think having the staff in place all this time, there's a lot more vision and a lot more stability and a lot more awareness of where they are and what they need. It's a huge difference. Like, think about what we had last year coming back. Jimerson, Thames, Hughes. Hughes left halfway through the year. Thames barely played because of a mysterious illness. So you basically had Gibson, Jimerson, and all new players around him. This year, we've got a lot, as many guys as we've had hit the portal. We've got more guys coming back than last year, right? We've got more coming back. We have an incoming high school class who's been signed since the fall. There's just a lot more stability. We have coaches, a coaching staff in place, no changes there, barring something unforeseen happening late here, but no changes with the staff. They went out, they had a plan, they got who they wanted. Schertz has a vetting process that I know he doesn't get as much time with in the spring transfer portal, but he still does it. And I just think that there's a lot more comfort about exactly where they need to be this year. And so I have a lot more confidence in the guys coming in being a better fit and better part of that.
Yeah. And I think this past season, I can't, I got my hopes got high, and I got excited for the guys they brought in, and none of them really. I mean, Swope was outstanding. Robbie was very, very good. The whole thing didn't really live up to the hype. So, I am not recklessly optimistic, right?
Yeah, I think that's one difference is I never really bought the hype to quite the degree coming in last year in terms of like it's going to be great right away. Like I very much was like, okay, let's everybody kind of like take a deep breath. Like we need a lot of things to go right, and a lot of things did not go right. Like this year, like there were a lot of injuries. We talk about the ones that were for the full year, but we forget that Robbie missed almost all of the preseason with that ankle. Not to mention some of the regular season as he was kind of getting back to speed with that. So we just had a lot of things go wrong this past year, in addition to the fact that it was year one with a completely new roster. Now it's year two, coaching staff in place, more players in place. I just think this is the logical next step. And think of how many close games we lost this past year, close games we won this past year. You hope that this year a lot more of those start going our way. Some of those wins are not as narrow. Some of those losses are flipping to wins, and we just have a bigger, stronger unit all around. And the ability to go deeper. We already have that compared to last year.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
So obviously, what this incoming class says to me, I'm going to ask you, but I think immediately I see an emphasis on offensive rebounding. I see an emphasis on defense.
Yeah, I think you're right on both counts. I would have said offensive rebounding probably would have been like a kind of secondary category for me, but I'm glad you brought it up because I think that's a good point. I think size and athleticism are two things that I would add there. We lose Swope, who's a smaller guy. We lose Jimerson. We lose Kobe Johnson. I think when you look at the guys coming in, Quentin Jones has great positional size. Dion Brown, kind of more average size. But with those two and Trey Green and Otieno's a big guy. The athleticism has really gone up with this group. And these are some guys too who Green, not as much. I think there's some suspect defense there. Dion Brown, I'm not quite as sure on his defense as well. But Jones and Otieno are high level defenders. And I just think we're going to create a lot more turnovers than we did last year, something that we weren't good at, in addition to the offensive rebounding, like you said. So I think that part of the athleticism and size upgrade here is also going to give us more opportunities.
Yeah, let's look at that roster that we have right now. And again, I think there's 3 spots left available. And that is that scholarships?
It might be. Hold on. So you've got 4 bigs listed here, and then you've got what do we have? 12. Is 12 overall? Is that right? I thought we were at 13.
Who would I be missing?
Let me take a look at that. But
They'll till it. Oh no, wrong team. Wrong team.
So what I would say is in terms of how many roster spots. So you get the rule now is you get 15 roster spots.
This is the most insane shit ever.
But it doesn't have to be all scholarships. Yeah, it can be, but it doesn't have to be. It's very weird. It used to be before you get 13 scholarship players and then they weren't as restrictive on walk-ons, right? But now it's like, well, if you get 13 scholarship players, you have room for 2 walk-ons, but it's like, what if I want 4 or 3 or whatever? It's very strange.
And this is a reaction, obviously, to the fact that you could get a kid an NIL for $40,000 and cover his room and board.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So this is basically scholarships are meaningless. It has nothing to do with scholarships anymore. It's all about roster spots. So that leaves, walk-ons out to dry. They can't dress anymore. If we add 3 more guys.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
Which I imagine they will.
I mean, there has been, I think there's a lot of uncertainty as to how that can be handled. Like maybe you walk-ons become a practice squad, and
Yes.
maybe you classify
They're
them as managers,
yes.
and they can travel with the team and things like that. So I think there probably are some ways around this.
They're going to have to start selling manager game tickets. You're going to have guys like Jaden Shirts, Nick Holmes, Isaac Holmes, Nick Patton. Whatever happened to Nick Patton?
I think he was hurt last year. So we didn't see him. He was always in street clothes. But
let's go down this roster as we have it. Amari McCautry, Kellen Thames, Dylan Warlick are the returners. These are guards, quote unquote guards, guys that aren't playing. You get it. Don't be stupid. Quentin Jones, Dion Brown, Trey Green are the transfers. And then freshman incoming, you have Cameron Hudson and Luke Lechkowski. Now, this tells me that we are going to see a lot deeper rotation from in the backcourt.
Right.
At least that's my take. I mean, McCautry is a guy you would 100% expect rotation minutes for.
Mm-hmm.
Thames, if he's 100% healthy, when he's 100% healthy, is a guy you would give rotation minutes to. Trey Green, would be a rotation guy. Quentin Jones, that's 4 guys. We're not even talking about the 2 bigs we'd run with. And then you mentioned Dion Brown would be a solid bench player. Then you get into Dylan Warlick, who, again, takes a step forward, is a guy that is a true culture guy, coach on the floor, gym rat, heady, and people have said Cameron Hudson's going to have a college-ready physicality to him. So I truly think there's a world in which we play 6 guards deep.
Yeah, I think it's very possible. When I look at that roster, I have a hard time, looking at a guy like Dylan Warlick, who gave you some good minutes this last year, and saying, okay, you're kind of going back to the end of the bench. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other players who I think are definitely in the rotation ahead of him. Right. And that's before you get to the 2 freshmen. And I do think Hudson, from I watched a good deal of video highlights of his high school team this year, who made that state championship run, got a title for East Lansing. And he's got a good looking shot. He's got a good looking physicality. He's every bit of 6'5", 6'6". He looks bigger on video this year than he did a year ago.
Well, the camera adds 10 pounds.
That's true. But his dad was big. I think his dad was like a power forward at Michigan
Well,
State.
You got to give me the Chandler line. Well, how many cameras were on you?
So there's every reason to think in like a Thames situation where here's a guy coming in as a guard, but probably, the son of a power forward, probably not done yet. So Luke Lechkowski might be kind of my odd man out. Like he's tall, he's a shooter, but I think he's going to need a year to adjust to the speed and physicality and stuff like that. And I'm totally fine with it. And then when you look at the bigs, Zach, you've got Avila, Otieno, Jax Kerr, and then Kalu Anya.
Yeah.
So I think there's room to add a big if you want one, but I look at the whole roster right now, and I don't think like, okay, we're in need of more guys, right? It's more like we can still find a player who's a good fit and put him in here, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, you've got Robbie Avila. I mean, I think the Jax Kerr has been anointed the guy behind the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I gotta see Jax Kerr playing, 5 minutes a game at least, right? Like if you're gonna be the guy behind Avila and you're the next man up, like again, it's kind of the thing that I was asking for more this year with a guy like Picard or Brockoff. I just expect so that's 8 guys right there that are going to get big minutes. And then add Otieno, we're expecting to get big minutes. He started almost every game for Quinnipiac.
Every game.
Yeah, well, yes.
For 3 years.
I think somebody pointed out he missed one game.
Okay.
But anyway, so you have Otieno, who's ostensibly going to be your starting power forward. And then Kaluanya, I mean, I could see, him getting big minutes. Not, I think he's down more to the 10-15 range. But again, I see 10 guys here that can play.
Yeah, I don't think Anya is going to have the same role he did as last year, but I don't think you're going to go from 30 minutes to 10 minutes.
Right. I mean, I do, but he's gone but it's gone that direction. So he was playing 30 early in the year, but he was playing 10 to 15 late in the year.
If you're looking at these 12 scholarship players right now, do I have that right? 12. If you're looking at this lineup right here, right now, who are your starters in this group, assuming full health?
Yeah, and I would not put it past us to bring in a splash towards the end because again, you've got there's going to be a whole nother wave when the NCAA tournament ends and these guys fall off of the Final Four rosters. There's going to be another wave because it's the wave where the guys go up and then some guys realize they've been recruited over at the high level, right?
Yeah.
So there's still more to come here. And I think there's an opportunity to grab a splashy name or a splashy stat line. But I think right now you look at Thames has to be penciled in as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously I'm going to go with Avila and Otieno.
Yeah,
that's my starting front court. That is a MB 5-star lock.
Sure.
I think Kellen Thames, I think Trey Green, and I think Quentin Jones.
I think that's reasonable.
I think Amari McCautry is about a 33. I think Amari McCautry could very well see his way into the starting lineup, but he could also be I would pencil him right now as the A10 sixth man of the year. If this team is going to go the places that I think it's going to go, I think Amari McCautry will make a name for himself as a sixth man, if not a fifth starter.
Yeah, I think with McCautry and Thames, maybe it will come down to where Thames is, health-wise at that point. But I think it's probably one of them as a fifth guy. I do think Jones and Green are probably the other two at this point. So McCautry and Thames, I probably, I think I'm hoping that Thames is fully back, 100% ready, and I'm hoping that he's ready to play those starter minutes because I think he's the guy I'd rather see there with McCautry coming off the bench, and I think Deion Brown off the bench as well. But yeah, I think Avila and Otieno are the ones that you're right are locks.
I would like to see us grab one more big motherfucker.
Now, big in terms of production or size.
Either way, if it's not big in size, I would like a guard you talked about the Trey Green. Who was the Swope comparison?
Trey Green, yeah.
Yeah. So I really don't again, how I kind of talked about the guards and how the depth and how I really hope Shirts will use that depth this year. I don't want to see us try to go one for one, right? Mm-hmm. A little more, we don't have to have these great players. We have to have a lot of really good players where we don't have any drop off. And I hope to God this season of all seasons kind of pushes Josh Shirts into the idea that maybe we don't have to you can have lesser starters, but better depth.
Yeah. And if you're talking about guys who might be splashy gets, so we know the staff is not done, right? Because
there is a visit at least.
there are a couple names who we are still looking at, and I guess this does dovetail nicely with that, Zach. I didn't even realize that was our next spot, but let's go into. So I want to give two names who we know we're looking at still after getting these first four transfers in, and number one, we'll go with the one we know is visiting, Jameer Simpson out of Southern Utah. He's a senior, so he'll have 1 year left. He's 6'5", 205, originally from Ohio. He averaged this past season 16.1 points a game, 4.7 rebounds, 1.8 assists.
His turnovers were not great.
Turnovers almost 3 a game, but he did stay out of foul trouble. I'll give him that. 32 minutes a game, shot 41.5% from the field, 34% from three, 80% from the free throw line. So, decent efficiency, but not great. He's okay. You hope it goes up in our system, but that's a guy, over 16 points a game. So he's going to visit. That's one idea of what we're looking at. Another name that SLU was tied to was Brady Dunlap out of St. John's, and he was a 6'7", 190-pound forward, sophomore forward, and he scored 5.7 points a game, 2.2 rebounds a game, 0.7 assists. He was 37.5% from three, over 83% from the free throw line. So there's a guy not as big in numbers and only played 10 games, but averaged 16 and a half minutes a game for a very, very, very good St. John's team. He didn't play after December 17th. I guess injuries kept him out of the rest of the year. So that's to kind of give you an idea of what we're still looking at. So when you say splashy, I mean, to me, that kind of qualifies.
Yes.
I mean, if you've got a guy either from one of the top teams in the country or a guy who averaged 16 points a game, like those are the kind of like that's that they're not done. They're not looking for just a depth piece. They're going for another big swing here.
Yeah.
We also know they had several more visitors than the 4 commits we've already gotten, that the 2 guys we just mentioned, but we don't have names on all of them. We do know one who committed to George Mason, who we'll talk about in a minute. But I guess the bottom line on all of this is they're not done, and they're willing to still take a big swing.
Yeah, I think we need to bring the mood down a little bit here, Pete. I need to have a serious. I need to have a serious conversation with you guys real quick.
Oh, Zach, we've been putting this off, but
yes, I'm heartbroken.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna sing a song right now. I'm gonna get my guitar and I'm gonna sing a little song. This one goes out to Max Pikaar.
Yeah, Zach. Your favorite guy entered the portal on Friday, and I'm gonna, we need you to take the lead on this one.
Yeah,
just keep it to under 30 minutes and try and keep your emotions under control here.
You need to get the Oscars music ready, because it might take. No, look, I really liked the potential, the raw athleticism. I think that kind of player doesn't grow on trees, and I really would have liked to see St. Louis University as the place where he chose to continue to develop. And but by the way, a very nice note from Marco replying to our tweet. His dad, it said, we have enjoyed your take on SLU basketball, except Zach, he sucks. And your support of Max. Max will seek a place to further develop, but we'll miss the people of SLU. So, yeah, he didn't. I ad-libbed a little bit there, but
yeah, just a few of those words weren't in there. But nice note from them, which we appreciate, and we obviously wish him all the best. Zach, do you think he would have eventually been the guy here? How long do you think it would have taken for him to kind of start reaching that potential?
I mean, I would have played him more this season, especially at the beginning with Robbie out. But I think, I think this coming season he would have been, looking at the way we've, gone to the portal, I really don't think he fits anymore. It's just not the team where I don't know where he fit this year. To be honest with you, I don't know why they brought him in. But Brockhoff and Picard, I really don't know what the hell was going on there. But yeah, I just don't think he fits the game plan anymore. And I'm not a huge fan that we're like drastically having to, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's a bummer. He's going to be really, really good somewhere, I think.
Yeah, I think he eventually will. And it's a shame that he's probably going to go somewhere where he's going to have a bigger opportunity, and you're going to see him do some things and be like,
Yeah.
wow, what a good player.
Maybe we could get him back as a Marfo.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just going to cost a lot more next time.
Yes. And that's kind of it too. I think there's a world where his value absolutely skyrockets.
Yeah.
Josiah Dotzler committed to South Dakota on Friday. Not really much to say about that.
No, he's from Omaha. We knew he wasn't going to go back to Creighton, but I did kind of wonder, like, well, maybe he'll go play for the local program. Omaha just made their first tournament. They've got a lot of excitement, momentum around that program. I thought maybe he would, but instead he goes to a conference rival of theirs, South Dakota. And I know
still gets to play at home.
Yeah. So he will be in the same general vicinity anyway, and I know they're a big, really tight knit family, so that's important to them. But yeah, he's another guy. Just it's a shame we never got to see him, and I would have been curious to see what he looked like this season.
AJ Casey, Killian Brockhoff, no update on their portal activities. We'll keep you updated as we learn about that. Some updates from the A10 portal. A couple of shockers. The first one out of Davidson, and it's Reed Bailey.
Yeah, he's going to Indiana, Zach. What do you think about the fit there? I think that's going to work out.
Look, I think in 49 states, it's just basketball.
They're going to like Reed Bailey.
Yes, those people in Bloomington are going to like Reed Bailey.
Yeah, I think he's going to fit nicely there. Duquesne has a couple more guys in the portal, not big names there. Fordham has a recruit in from UC Riverside. He followed the head coach. Rikus Schulte is coming in. George Mason has one more out the door, Bryson Coakley. But their incoming class, Zach, they're
still frauds.
They've got some guys coming in. I think they're going to still be pretty good.
Actually. I mean, they'll be pretty good, but they'll have a schedule that doesn't allow them to make the NCAA tournament.
I'm willing to wait and see on that as well. They're bringing in Dola Adebayo from Mount St. Mary's. He was instrumental in their run to get into the tournament this year. Corey Mincy.
With a K.
Yeah, Kory, Mincy. I didn't see Presbyterian play this year, and they're always an example of a team in D1 that nobody ever talks about ever. So I don't know much about him, but he did put up good numbers. And then Jamari Hill, I think he's the one who goes by Fat Glizzy. Is that his nickname? He's the one that they were calling that.
Big penis.
Freakish athlete. He's just go watch his highlights. When he visited SLU, I kind of watched some tape on him, and he's pretty impressive.
But maybe it's Big Dog. Maybe it's just Big Dog.
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not.
I could see how that would translate.
But nonetheless, we're going to see him play against us at George Mason. He visited both of us back to back. He was one I wasn't quite sure about because he's like a 23% 3-point shooter.
Really he'll fit right in at Mason.
He's a great defender, and he's a great dunker. You love him in transition, but I do wonder about in just once you settle into your half court offense, I think he loses a lot of his value. But I actually do think he's a good fit at Mason.
Of course he is. He's a floor burn you guy.
Yeah, he sure is.
George Washington's heading out is Zamoku Waluke Ume.
Yeah, I don't think that's a big loss there. LaSalle's bringing in another guy, Dimitri Gardner out of JUCO. Somebody said he looks like Rafi from the league. Jason Mantzoukas, I do like him, one of my favorite comedic actors. But Zach Loyola, once they finally stopped playing, they got a couple big names in the portal, including one pretty surprising destination.
Yeah, Jaden Dawson's heading to Kansas. But, apparently Bill Self has lost it lately. So,
yeah, he does seem to have lost a few miles per hour on that fastball. Jalen Quinn is also in the portal. He's out of Tuscola, Illinois. SLU offered him out of high school, and he visited, but that was under the Ford administration. So I don't think he would come back in the picture, and I'm not sure how splashy that would be either. Rhode Island, a little bit more news here. David Green is in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
And then David Fuchs, who, whose last name we played with a little bit last week, is off to San Francisco.
Richmond is losing Ryan Sulis.
Yep.
They are gaining David Thomas out of DePaul and Will Johnston out of Loyola Marymount.
Yeah, a whole lot of shrugs on the names coming in and out there so far. I just don't see them making a big leap. We know LeJay Jones, one of the 9 out of St. Bonaventure, is going to Florida State. He's a talent, so he should find a role there. I don't know if he'll be a starter, but a role. St. Joe's has their first departure with Sean Simmons. I don't think he was one of the top players this year for them, Zach, but I think people thought he was going to be a key rotation player going forward.
I'm shocked. Billy, I keep wanting to call him Billy Mitchell.
Billy Mitchell.
Same
vibe.
People don't want to quit on Billy Mitchell. Sean Simmons is out, but Al Amadou out of Marquette is in.
He's he didn't really do anything at Marquette.
Is it Al as in Alfred, or is it Al as in like the Islamic Al? I know prefix. I don't know.
It just looks like a last name when you see it.
Yes,
Al Amadou, right?
Yeah, what is he? Who is he? Pele?
But when you look at his, that's just how he's listed. It's just Al Amadou. Anyway, He's a 6'9" player from Philadelphia.
Who am I to argue?
So he's returning home. I think he's a pretty, big athletic dude, and hopefully we'll see his production uptick a bit at St. Joe's back home.
Coming in for VCU, you have Barry Evans out of Bryant, and Keyshawn Mitchell also out of Bryant. That's interesting.
Yeah, both following the head coach down there.
Oh, that's right. Right. Okay. I forgot that whole thing. I had other things going on.
Well, it's like you can't it's interesting, right? Because we just heard about one UC Riverside player following his coach to Fordham, but when you're a coach making a step up, you can bring some of your guys, but not all of them, right? Because you can't just translate a Bryant into VCU. They're just not going to be as good. You can't take your whole roster with you, I guess is what I'm saying, and expect to compete at the level that VCU needs to compete at. But Evans scored 13.3 points a game. Mitchell scored 8.5 points a game. They were both, top 5 players there at Bryant. So I think they'll be fine, but he's still going to have some work to do at the top of the roster there. Their roster's wide open.
Let's talk about this NCAA tournament, man. What a goddamn ending. I didn't see it. I'm going to be honest with you. I missed the Duke Houston ending because I helped my girlfriend fill out a bracket, and I'll be damned if we didn't pick the entire Final Four. And we had Houston against Florida in the final. And Houston commits that technical foul touch, and we turned it off. It was over. Because I thought
it was very much over at that point.
I turned it off and turned on a movie, and I get the notification, and we're back in. It was like Cool Runnings, and so she has a chance to win the bracket contest, which is wild. So rooting for Houston tomorrow.
So Houston's the team that you need in order for her to win her.
But the funniest part is I put 142 as the total points for the tiebreaker. Do you know what the over-under is for the game tomorrow?
142 and a half.
141 and a half.
141 and a half. All right.
I did this weeks ago.
I know.
So Vegas, if you want to hire me.
You're the Oracle.
I am the Oracle.
It is an interesting, look, okay, you guys did the courageous thing and picked all the number ones, right? I know everybody clowned on Jay Williams.
Look, no. You pick your Final Four and then you work your way back. Your
Final Four was all ones.
Yes, because I believed in it.
They really were the four best teams out there. I think you could have made a case for Alabama as being in a top five. But yeah, Zach, I mean, these teams really were the best. It is interesting to me. I think people would have probably picked Auburn and Duke as the better of the those two games, but they just didn't get it done. I was impressed by how Florida closed last night. I was not impressed by how Duke closed
They
when
didn't
they seemed to
close.
have the thing in the driver's seat. They I think they had one field goal in the last 10 and a half minutes. They could not grab defensive rebounds. Like it was like watching some of the games that SLU had lost this year, where
Mhm.
you're like, there were issues breaking a press, there were issues grabbing defensive rebounds, and then just long stretches with not great shot making, which is really surprising to see out of that Duke team because you kind of felt like they had enough to where they were almost impervious to that sort of thing. So a lot of things had to go wrong, and they did, and that was really impressive because Houston, man, that team, they've got some dudes. They really, really play hard. So I do appreciate what they did on the other side of that thing.
So I get to watch the national championship with a rooting interest. There is money on the line here.
That's fun. That's
Yeah.
fun.
Um, Pete, let's talk about 2 Men in a Garden because with the national championship tomorrow night, I think our listeners need to go out at lunchtime tomorrow while they're at work, pop into the grocery store and pick up some 2 Men in a Garden salsa, uh, and maybe some pickling pouches while they're there.
Yeah, you really do need to get those pickling pouches. I haven't seen those on shelves at stores before. Maybe I'm not looking in the right place because I could see those. That's the kind of thing that would be somewhere weird where you can never find it. But these pickling pouches, get them online and they're great. What I will do is just slice lengthwise some baby cucumbers in half, throw them in there for a few days. Follow the very easy instructions on the bag. And I've got a batch up in the fridge right now. They're fantastic. It had been a while since I bought these because I've been buying their pickle spears lately, which I love so much, which I think are so good. But I did a pickling pouch again this past week, and I'm really, really happy I did. Um, I'm really happy I had one more in the pantry and found that thing, and I am really enjoying these. So make sure you got your chips and salsa ready to go for the championship game. If you're going to have a pickle or two as well to snack on, I wouldn't blame you. You can do a lot worse than 2 Men in a Garden and their pickling pouches. Experiment for yourself. Head to twomeninthegarden.com, get $9.99 nationwide shipping, and tell them we sent you. Twomeninthegarden.com.
Pete, we've got some women's basketball to talk about. Well, not really. Yeah, we do. We do. First of all, we need to talk about the biggest news in the Billiken sphere. Jill Pizzotti, former Billiken head coach, let go in 2005. A long, strange journey, including a stint at Nike, the assistant coach at DePaul for a decade at least. And she is once again the head coach of a Division I basketball program as she takes over DePaul full time. I could not be more excited for Jill and happy for her. This is such a good story.
It really is, Zach. And I got to say, as someone who, I was a manager for the men's basketball team, but I was around the women's basketball team a lot, because we were all in West Pine Gym. And the managers, a few of us worked the scoreboard for women's games. Like we did the scoreboard, we did the shot clock. So I was at most women's games and just a few feet away from Jill Pizzotti. And our teams were not very good in those years. We made an NIT, I want to say my sophomore year, very mediocre teams, just playing in West Pine Gym. I remember there being a Blizzard game one year and counting the fans, and there were just a couple dozen people.
I think I might have been there.
Yeah, probably. You were always up there running around somewhere.
Yeah.
But DePaul, I don't think people, we used to be in the same conference in Conference USA, and they were good in those years. They made the tournament 3 of the 4 years that they got better every year that I was there, actually. And I don't think people really have an appreciation for how good this program has been. Doug Bruno, the guy who she's replacing, who she was the associate head coach under for years, made the tournament at that school. I want to say he was there like 25 years, and
he was there forever.
He made the tournament like 17 times or something like. Yeah, so their tournament appearances, I'm trying to do the math here.
He's an interesting looking fella.
They have made, yeah, he is. They have made the tournament 25 times, and all of those have come since 1990. So that's all on his watch. He's been there. He did 2 years in the late 70s, and right as the program started, and then he came back in the late 80s, and he's been the head coach of the program ever since. And they have been a wagon, Zach. I mean, they have really, really been a good team. They've won the Big East Conference tournament 5 times. They've won the Big East regular season title 6 times. They won Conference USA my senior year. This is a really good program that she's taken over. And I got to say, it's surprising because I never really thought all that much of Jill Pizzotti when I was there. I just kind of thought the team's okay.
It's been 20 years, my man.
And I have to, with humility, accept the fact that she has gone other places since then, and she has been the associate head coach to one of the all-time greats, I dare say, in women's basketball.
More underappreciated all-time greats. Fun story here. 2009, DePaul named McGrath, the basketball court in McGrath Phillips Arena, Doug Bruno Court in his honor. The decision was kept a surprise and announced at the annual Doug Bruno Challenge dinner. Doug was told the dinner attendance wasn't meeting expectations and asked if his 6 sons could help bolster the attendance by showing up and bringing friends.
Oh, that's great.
Although I would be pissed if I was that good of a coach and they were like, yeah, dude, what the hell? The dinner sucks. We've got to pad the stats on the attendance.
Yeah, I got to say,
I might take that personally.
This arena that they play in, DePaul's, very urban campus. You can see it from the platform of one of the L stations up there, and it's a great gym. It is you cannot beat the location. It truly is on campus, unlike their other arena, the men's arena, which is really nice, but it's it's a ride. It's a great venue.
Oh, so the women are now playing at Wintrust as well.
Oh, they are? They don't play at McGrath Phillips Arena anymore? Oh yeah, okay, all right. I guess they've been playing in. You know what? That's only since Wintrust opened that they play there.
Right.
That when they were out at Allstate, the women stayed on campus. Right. Okay. All right. I see. I'm really living in the past. But anyway, this is a really good program, and I'm hoping that she can keep up the very high standards that the program has been at. I mean, what a great opportunity for her. And I one more comment I got to say. Did you see the announcement picture?
No.
Like the graphic. She looks the same, man.
Yes.
She has not aged at all. I don't know what's going on, but kudos to Jill Pizzotti.
I'm looking it up. Images. Oh my God. Yeah. Looks, I mean, there's no difference here. It's insane. Yeah. We gotta throw this up on Twitter. The woman's got a time machine or some shit. I don't know.
I did retweet the announcement back when it happened a few days ago, but
we got to share both pictures
from April 3rd. Yeah. She looks the same.
Let's talk about our own program. No updates as far as where the outgoing transfers are headed. Incoming, however, we have Jada Tiggett, a 6'2" wing out of North Carolina Central. Average 5.1 points per game, 4.3 rebounds, 0.6 assists per game, 0.8 steals per game, and 2.3 blocks per game. She was top 20 in the nation in blocks last season. Not much of an offensive player, however, Pete.
No, she shoots 407 from the field, 235 from 3, 606 from the line. None of those are really going to help SLU in terms of offensive efficiency. Look, there are a ton of spots to fill. I don't mind one of our spots going to a defensive role player, as long as the top end of the roster is filled out with what they need offensively and everything like that. But, if she's going to be a reserve who comes in, she blocks some shots, she's an active wing, I think I think she could be a good fit. This isn't when I look at the things that I wanted to address the most on this team, this being the first commitment doesn't hit any of those for me. So I like the shot blocking. There's a little bit of intrigue here. She's still young, just a sophomore, but yeah, I think we've got a lot to do on the offensive end still.
Apparently, Isabel Till had announced she's coming back to play again.
Oh, okay.
But I think did she block us on Instagram? I can't find her profile. Yeah, I don't know. If she's playing minutes, this is going to be a tough year.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know, man. I just there's so many spots to fill that I guess I got to wait and see. Really, is what it comes down to.
Yep. Let's head over to the Diamond, the baseball Diamond. That is. Starts off with a 6-0 win against Western Illinois. This is about as good as this week will get. Tuesday the 1st, the Billikens used 6 pitchers, but the starter, Carl Relam, went 5 innings for the win. They all combined for the shutout. Hayden Moore, Ian Blazier, Riley Ifrig all had 2 knocks apiece. Moore and Ifrig also scored twice, and Blazier had 2 stolen bases. Ethan Sitzman had a 2 RBI double and a sac fly to lead SLU with 3 RBIs. Pete, they were close this weekend, but they didn't get it done against George Mason.
Yeah, dramatic loss, 7-5 at George Mason on Friday the 4th. After they got into a 4-0 hole, SLU tied it in the 4th with 2 2-run singles from Blazier and Ifrig. The Patriots hit a 2-run single of their own to retake the lead in the 6th, but Hank Gomrich hit a solo shot in the 8th. And then George Mason answered in the bottom of the inning to ice the win.
Fast and the Furious fan.
That's right. That's right. Owen Kelly started and got the loss with 6 earned run in 6 innings. And Zach, it wasn't quite as dramatic in game 1 on Saturday the 5th.
No, it wasn't. It was a 7-2 loss. The Billikens struggled. This was the game 1 of a doubleheader. The Billikens struggled to get the bats going. Just 5 hits overall. Ifrig had 2 of them with an RBI single. The other run came off a sac fly from Max McGuire. Christian Pownell started and allowed 3 runs. The first reliever, Ty Holman, allowed 4, but only 3 were earned. Justin Lee came on for the final out. Pete, they took George Mason to 10 innings on Saturday the 5th, but couldn't come away with the win.
No, 8-6 was the loss here. Down 4-0 once again heading into the 9th. SLU scored 6 runs in the top of the inning, starting with a 3-run shot from McGuire. Austin Newegg followed it with a 2-run double, and SLU capped the inning with a sac fly from Blazier. They gave up 2 in the bottom of the 9th and got out of a bases-loaded jam with a double play at second off a diving catch. So a lot more late-game dramatics in this one. But Mason walked it off with a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 10th, unfortunately. SLU used 5 different pitchers. No one made it out unscathed. Josh Cunningham started, but Steven Hernandez gave up the 10th inning home run to take the loss. Next up, Zach, they will host Rockhurst on Tuesday the 8th and then head to Davidson for a weekend series.
On the softball side of things, big result here this weekend, but we'll start with a loss, a 6-5 loss at SIUE. Tuesday the 1st, moved up a day due to weather. It was originally scheduled for Wednesday. Natalie Sullivan and Abby Mallow each went 3 for 4 with a homer. Mallow continues her streak of mashing the ball. Sullivan and Ulsis each scored twice. SLU didn't generate much offense out of the top 4 in the lineup. However, SIUE broke a 5-5 tie with a fielder's choice in the bottom of the 6th. The Billikens could not answer in the 7th, despite Sullivan and Mallow starting off the inning with back-to-back singles. Hockman started and gave up 4 runs, 2 earned in 4 innings. Isabel Royal pitched the 5th and gave up 1 more run. Christ was on the mound for that final run. Big win on Sunday the 6th to start this series against George Washington.
Yeah, it was Christy Connoyer's 400th career win. It was a 3-0 score against George Washington. It only took 4 hits, and the Bills allowed just 2 from the opposition. Chloe Ryan hit a solo shot that would be all they needed, but Abby Elsis hit an RBI single, and Kendall Johnson got SLU's 3rd run on a sac fly. Hockman was dealing in this game, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, plus just those 2 hits we mentioned in a complete game shutout. And Zach, they kept it going the next game on Sunday.
Yeah, a 9-0 5-inning thumping of the Revolutionaries, the Hippos. Sunday the 6th, game 2 of the doubleheader. Abby Mallow went 2 for 3 with 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, and a grand slam in the 3rd, followed by a 3-run shot in the 4th. That 3-run shot looked like a lazy pop fly that just kept carrying and carrying and carrying. Gallagher and Olsis each had an RBI single. Isabel Royal spread out 4 hits over 5 innings and struck out 2 for the shutout win. Next up, they will finish the series that had been pushed for weather Monday the 7th. We also would like to remind you that GW was in first place heading into this weekend. The Billikens will host Loyola for a doubleheader Wednesday and head to Rhode Island for the weekend series. Pete, on the tennis side,
yeah, the men lost 6-0 at Dayton on Friday the 4th. Dayton plays down in Miamisburg, which is the south suburb. Not even one match in this went to 3 sets. I think the less said, the better here. 4-1 was the loss against Davidson. They also played this one in Miamisburg.
It's hard to beat a team that gets so many of their students from the country club.
That's absolutely right. I mean, they could win the league with walk-ons, really.
Yeah,
they're just all coming up in that culture.
They just pay for school.
That's right. So SLU grabbed the doubles point, actually winning 2 of 3, but they were unable to get a single win in singles play, unfortunately. So 4-1
I'm surprised that the cake eaters, couldn't work together.
Zach, it's weird because the record is now 1-11, right? They're really struggling, and it's strange how poorly they're doing given how many returners there are. Like when you look at the score sheets here, I'm like, these are all the names we were reading last year. The coach changed, but not many of the players. So I don't know what's going on there, but it's 1-11. It's not going well. Next up, they'll face Austin P on Tuesday the 8th. They'll finish the regular season against Creighton on Sunday the 13th, both at the Dwight Davis Tennis Center.
I could see that Creighton game ending in like a half hour. The women, they were not in action. Next up, they'll play against Missouri State in St. Charles, and Friday the 11th at George Mason. I wonder where they're playing that at St. Charles. West James. Is that at West James?
No idea.
What's up next while I look that up?
So we also have track and field. They had the Billiken alumni meet on Saturday the 5th. They started the meet. They had some personal records even fall in the short amount of time they had, but unfortunately the event was cut short by weather. Temperatures in the 40s, rain. I know it's kind of similar in Cincinnati here as it is to St. Louis, but basically the whole middle of the country is getting pounded by rain. That has not stopped, and I believe the soccer field my son plays on is underwater, not just wet, but underwater. So I don't even know what's going to happen with our season. It's going on everywhere. Next up,
women beat Missouri State by forfeit.
In tennis?
Yes.
Okay. So that was a late addition, maybe?
Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah. I don't know what happened, but on the Missouri State women's tennis website schedule.
Oh, weird.
They forfeited to Lindenwood and St. Louis on Tuesday.
Interesting. Okay. On our site, it says that we still have yet to play.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
Strange. Anyway. Okay. Well, yeah. Next up, track has the Gateway Invitational out at SIUE on Saturday the 12th.
Might have to do that. Might have to make that one. I'm sure SIUE has a better track.
Bring your bib and shoes and everything you need.
My knees aren't going to hold up for that.
Oh yeah, you're getting old.
I know. I need to make excuses. Actually, that Billiken meet was an open meet. Anybody, any Tom, Dick, or Harry could sign up and run.
It's a shame the weather wasn't good.
I know. That's going to do it for us. Forget I said anything. No. Yeah, that's going to do it. Pete, as always, go Bills.
Go Bills.